face commander for this disguise deck is Kaust, Eyes of the Glade. He is a hybrid Boros mana and a green for a 2/2 legendary detective dryad, or dryad detective, the other way around. Whenever a creature you control that was turned face up this turn deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And a tap ability to turn target face down attacking creature you control face up. So
cool, dude.
The cool part on him is that this is one of the most cost-efficient ways to be able to have a face-down card turn face up. Simply having that thing attack and then tap with this, I believe, in my research, is one of the cheapest ways to be able to flip a face-down card face up. There are certain other ones that can force it for like 2-3-ish mana, but on just the restriction of needing to attack with one of them and tapping him, it's the cheapest way that you can do flipping your cards face up. And said card that when you flip it up and are attacking with it, when it connects with somebody, you get a card out of it, which is cool. It's very fun. The problem is you need, and this deck has some of them in here, you need ways to get that 2/2 to go through. Because not every morph card, when it is flipped face up, is not guaranteed to just trade off with a blocker that your opponent is going to have. It's like some of them get a little bit larger when they flip up, but some of them don't really get much larger than 3-4 toughness. And general purpose utility creatures in Commander nowadays, like, honestly, anything below 3 toughness kind of just doesn't make cuts anymore.
Ganked by a roaming throw?
Yeah, it's crazy. Things are also sitting at higher toughnesses when they're doing utility purposes. You know what I mean? So like you have to have synergies within this deck to be able to get these low power threats through unblocked. And then you can cheat their costs to turn them face up and start dealing massive damage. One of those ways to do that is the backup commander in this deck, Duskina, the Rage Mother. 2 red, green, and a white for a legendary 5/5 bear. When Duskina enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control with base power and toughness 2/2. So in this deck, that cares about the face down cards. And then anything else that you might just have kicking about that is a base 2/2, like other bears. If you were to build this as bear tribal, you could do that. Her other ability is whenever a creature you control with base power and toughness 2/2 attacks, it gets +3/+3 until end of turn. So that's
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with Duskana.
This I think is the commander out of this deck. I'm not sold on Kaust. He's cool that he can get down cheap, but you need to already have your face down cards for Kaust to start doing the thing that he wants to do. And the minimum cost of being able to put a face down card with both either disguise or morph is still the 3. Yeah. Right. So Kaust isn't even exactly. Kaust isn't really going to be doing anything until turn 5, turn 6 anyways. If you do the morph plan, the disguise plan, the manifesting, you do that ahead of time, then do Duskina, you've now just refilled your hand, probably with more morph and disguise cards equal to what you've already put down in play. Then all of those morphs and disguises flunge, and they're 5/5s on their unknown side that if you have the capability to flip them up that same turn, they retain the +3/+3 from when they were 2/2s. It's a Duskina,
layers, baby.
Yeah, layers. Duskina, I think, definitely is the better commander out of the box for what this strategy is trying to do, because just morph is slow. Morph is very, very slow. You have to get it going to start getting this cheat in mana cost for the permanents that you're trying to get turned face up. So I like Duskina a lot out of this deck. I'm still not crazy about this deck as a whole, but if you needed to play out of the box as is, play the bear. The bear is way cooler, personally.
Agree.
It's not that this deck doesn't have anything exciting for anybody who is doing because morph decks have been around for a while. This is just a different new color combination for it.
The leading one would be a Sultai deck with Kadena.
Kadena, the Slinking Sorcerer. Yeah, that's kind of been the default one. Animar, Soul of Elements has also been a very popular choice. So there's definitely going to be cards that are in here that are, included as part of this deck that would be very cool pull-out pieces to slap them into anything else that you're doing. But in this deck, as is, some of them are some really cool ones. My personal favorite, which no shocks whatsoever, it's a card that doubles. Go figure. John has a type. You know what I mean? There's going to be Panoptic Projector, a 4 colorless mana artifact that says it taps, and the next face down creature spell you cast this turn costs 3 less to cast. That essentially reads that when you tap this artifact, you get to put a face down card, casting it for free, basically, because disguising and morph is 3 mana to put him face down. So you get a free discount. So free cast of a creature. That's always helpful. What else does this do? Let's double up some triggers. If turning a face down permanent face up causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, it triggers an additional time.
So good.
Yeah, we love that. So some of the best face down cards that you can do as they turn face up are the ones that say that they do a thing as they turn face up. As shared a couple times before, the things we've joked about, turning a face down card face up for its cost is considered a special game action. There's not a lot of these that exist within the course of the game. Doing face up cards is something that is even faster. I would say faster than on the stack, but it technically doesn't use the stack. It's faster than instant speed. It's flipping the thing face up cannot be responded to by any capacity whatsoever.
Yeah. The speed limit goes like this. It's like sorcery, instant, split second, morph, conceding the game.
Wow.
You got it.
That's your scale.
Yeah. Now
and then,
this
and then
obviously
Slicer after that. He's the
Slicer.
That boy is going fast. Anyway, back to you, John.
Love that. So flipping the thing face up is something that you can do at a special action speed, I guess. But any ability that happens when it's turned face up does use the stack. That can be responded to. But this thing allowing you to get free face down cards put into play, and then if they have something relevant when they turn face up, or something else on your board cares about a card being turned face up, doubling it up. I mean, it's a doubler thingy. We love these. We're commander people.
Plain and simple. Sounds amazing.
We're like
plain simple. Yep.
We want to play 100-card singleton format, but we want all of our cards to happen 2 or more times.
Yeah.
We play doublers.
What would be a good face down card to turn face up and double its trigger? How about our big evolved friend Experiment 12?
Oh, talk to me about it.
Yeah, you remember your good old boy Experiment 1? This is him now. Feel old yet?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Oh, jeez.
Experiment 1 is 12 years old. Wait, is that why it's Experiment? I just connected the dots. Wow.
You heard it here first, folks.
Hold on. I don't know what this card is that you're talking about, and I didn't know that there was 11 other versions of it.
There's not 11 other versions of it.
Oh.
No, there isn't. It was a joke. It was an old card from Gate Crash called Experiment 1. It was an ooze. It did evolution or whatever. This is kind of like a evolved version of that.
Did you just tell me that Gate Crash was 12 years ago?
Dang it.
I'm going to go dig a grave for myself now.
Yikes, dude.
Experiment 12 is 3 and a green for a 4/4 elf lizard warrior. It has, notably to start with, it has disguise on it, so it can go into the battlefield face down for 3 mana and can flip for 4 and a green. that'll be relevant for its keyword ability. It has trample and says when it or another creature you control is turned face up, put +1/+1 counters on that creature equal to its power. So this guy reads that everything you turn face up now inherently comes with an added bonus of whatever the power is of that creature that you're turning face up, instantly double it with +1/+1 counters. So you flip up a guy that morphs and is like a 6/5 on the other side, fantastic. Put 6 +1/+1 counters on it. This guy by himself flips up with 4 extra counters. So he'd be an 8.
Flip it up while you have Descana on the board, and you get an additional 3 counters.
Mm-hmm. And again, and that panoptic projector we were just talking about, so now that gets doubled.
That's kind of crazy.
This is what I'm saying, is like, they're individual cool pieces that are in here, but face down as a strategy is kind of slow to get going. Yeah. If any of this kind of stuff is interrupted, even with Disguise having ward on the creatures that you have turned face down, that doesn't save them from rats. You know, that doesn't save them from something little, right? Two creatures are very small for Commander's sake. There is just cards that are floating about in decks that just say, oh, everything gets bonked for 2. You know, I'll do Toxic Deluge for 2 life. Whoops, there goes all of your deck.
Oops. Yep. Or like a Meat Hook Massacre for 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just something like that literally happened to me today on like Arena or something.
Don't play this deck against a black deck.
Yeah, I don't think it holds up anything to a black deck at all.
I don't know. Like, there are some good ones in here though, right? We've got like Hooded Hydra is a very cool morph card that's in here. It can either just be a regular old Hydra for green, and X, or it can morph. Goes face up for 5, puts 5/1/1 counters on itself, and then when it dies, it just explodes in snakes. So that's kind of cool. Death Mist Raptor is another very cool one as well. It's a 3/3 with Death Touch that when something else is turned face up on your battlefield, it can come back into play from your graveyard, either face up or face down, and has Megamorph. So you can either be slightly bigger or just stay a 3/3 that blockers, right? Repeatable Death Touchers from the graveyard is a very good combat deterrent. It's like that Baleful Strix thing, right? You put one Death Toucher in front of you, no one's going to want to swing into it. And especially if that Death Touch creature can keep coming back from the graveyard. Mm-hmm. That one's really cool. I was really excited to see Ugin's Mastery reprinted in here. This was something that we talked about back in our Commander Masters preview, that we said Ugin's Mastery would be a fantastic include into a deck that is doing face down morph shenanigans, because it works with morph. Gives you manifested cards as you cast colorless spells, and then if you meet a power requirement, those things just turn face up for free, like with Duskana. Right? You're so close on the edge there of just having one face down creature meet the 6 total power requirement that Ugin's Mastery needs. It's very cool. I'm very happy to see that in here.
That's sick.
Yeah, and Whisperwood Elemental is also a very interesting reprint in this one as well. Does more manifesting than it does morph, but gives you free manifest creatures off the top of your library when your board is wiped. So kind of replenishes your board as if they were to die, like those 2/2s beforehand, if you're not able to get them flipped, you get a second chance of more manifests to come down. Other notable good reprints that come in this deck as well, as far as like monetary value is concerned. 2 of the best ones that are in here is going to be Jeska's Will and Seedborn Muse.
Oh shoot, that's sick.
Yeah.
So I think they realized that like the face down creatures is mega niche, and that people might not want to buy that one. Also just a pile of really playable cards.
Yeah, and both of these cards help accelerate what the morph plan is looking to do. Yeah. Jeska's Will is obviously, it's Jeska's Will. It's very strong in any kind of deck. But in something like this specifically, where the red ritual mana that you're making off of Jessica's Will, you're not super held back on that being only one specific color. Morph is just 3 generic to get down. So like if you did Jessica's Will at full value, or someone, let's say that their minimum it has 7 in hand, 7 is about the average for your maximum value on Jessica's Will. That is a 3 mana thing that you can do that's going to allow you to get upwards of 2 face down creatures for the cost of 1 card.
Yep.
Essentially, it's very, very good. And Seedborn Muse in here for the same kind of reason. Morphs and disguises, its biggest problem is having the mana you need if you have nothing else on your board to help you accelerate that. Having the mana you need to turn that creature face up. Having Seedborn Muse down to be able to, at your end step, I'm going to flip this up. At your end step, I'm going to flip this up. At your end step, I'm going to flip this up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Both of these 2 cards in conjunction help speed up a little bit of what this deck is trying to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Other ones, very interesting. Some of the better upgrades that I would say that would go in here are cards actually from Murders at Karlov Manor itself that didn't make their way into this deck for some reason. Yeah. Pyrotechnic Performer specifically is one that, firstly, I got to play this card at pre-release, and it was a phenomenal time every time it went off. Is one of the ones with Disguise. Disguise is up for a single red mana. I believe it itself is a 3-2, I think. I don't have the card open right now. I think it's a 3-2. But what it says is that when it or another card is turned face up, Pyrotechnic Performer, either itself or the card that you're turning face up, deals damage equal to its power to each opponent.
So cool.
Yeah, so that kind of turns into like double damage with Kalster Duskna, whatever, the bear. That you're turning it face up in the middle of combat. They're now taking that creature's worth of power immediately and then are still being attacked. So double damage out of nowhere, basically.
That also gives you a way to... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that gives you a way to actually like deal damage without having to attack, which is sick.
Yeah.
Like if you have some stuff you don't want to swing, but it is morphed or whatever it is, like you can actually be effective without swinging it, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Also is insane with the Panoptic Mirror, is insane with Experiment 12. Like, there's all of these really cool ones. Like, you're right, Jared. You might just look up and be able to go like, flip, flip, flip. Everybody's dead.
Yeah, like that could totally happen. It's kind of like, I'm thinking about it like Keeper of Secrets for like a cascade thing.
Oh,
that's a card that like every time you cast a spell from not your hand, it deals damage equal to that card's CMC. So it's kind of that similar vibe, but that's a really cool card design.
Mostly as far as the remainder of upgrades would just probably be just like an increase of how fast you can get your mana or how fast you can get creature cards into your hand, right? Because the biggest problem with any kind of creature deck in general is you either just don't have enough mana to do what you're looking to do, or you just run out of creature gas and you have all of your support pieces to play with the creatures, but no creatures.
Yep.
So
this is a real, you might draw the wrong half of the deck kind of deck.
I think so, yeah. But I don't know. It's kind of cool. Like if we're doing that rating thing you said, I would probably put this at about a 3-ish. It's like Morph and Face Down has this really cool thing of like you don't immediately are cut off on your colors of mana for what you need for creatures, because morphing and disguising and manifesting, or not manifesting, like or disguising, they're all just generic to put that card down into play. So you're not immediately pressed to have your colors of mana ready to go. And then it's the guessing game thing. It's like, ooh, what could that be? Am I, it's now attacking at me. Am I going to block it and have my thing just die and then get trampled over? Or are they bluffing me and this is just one of their utility ones that turn faces up, It's random. It's random, it's chaotic. It can be a very fun mess and guessing game for your opponents on like who you're attacking with what to where. and what could be underneath. Anything could happen if that mana is turned face up, and very little reaction time to be able to stop what those cards are trying to do. It's just the theme as a whole is kind of a little slow, not super interesting, and in my personal opinion, this deck is the wrong colors for face down personally. Blue and black, I think, have the strongest synergies and support and cards that do relevant things that turn face up. So if you're interested in playing this kind of deck, I'd say if you're interested to try it, buy it, but maybe take pieces from this and build it off in different directions, I think personally. Take out the bear, build bear tribal, and then go build Kadena. You'll have a better time.